then we have to consider the prerequisites of as per the requirements of FSSC 22000, that is past 220 and 223, that is up to your choice. And then it comes ISO 22000. It has its own prerequisite requirements. For example, the GMPs, GLPs, GHPs, integrated pest management system, and plant layout requirements, sanitation requirements, personal requirements, training requirements. They do vary at some extent, and that is prerequisite programs. Next, please. Next slide, please. Okay. Then it comes establish and document a system for. System contain all the ingredients that for management, proper management and orderly management is required. For example, the hierarchy of your organization, that who is the head of the department, how many departments are involved in that operation, and who is chairing to those departments, who are the key holders, the key position holders of that department. Everything will be mentioned while you are developing your system. And then after management system, then it will come the operational system, like what is your production line chains process, what is its flow line diagram, what are the control measures in your production area, what are your suppliers requirement, what are your final products requirement, like what kind of criteria he must fulfill, safety requirements I mean to say, and what is the description of your product, is it specifics for some kind of groups or not. For example, that might be for some special groups, like to some it might be for some allergic people, right? Everything you will have to describe in your system, and it should be very clear. Everything should be written very clearly. Okay, then it is saying that collecting preliminary information for hazard analysis. What does mean by that? That you must know that what kind of ingredients you are using, who are your supplier, and what are your logistic operations, so that you could evaluate that what kind of hazards could be incorporated into your final product during your production, during your supply management, during transportation, during handling, during manual handling, or during packaging, and then to further transportation to the retailer. What kind of hazards could be incorporated into it? And here we specifically consider the hazards that are being incorporated by the time it is being packed, right before it is being packaged, means specifically during manufacturing. Establishing and monitoring the HACCP plan. We all know how do we establish and monitor the HACCP plan, how we do. There are 12 steps in establishing the HACCP plan. 7 are the principles of HACCP, and 5 are the managerial steps. In 5 managerial steps, you people can recall that it is including your team management, means your management hierarchy. Then it comes your product introduction, your product description, then your flow line diagram. What is your production flow line diagram? Then it comes that validation of your or not validation, it comes verification of your flow line diagrams. Mean what you are writing or what you are putting onto your paper, that whatever you are showing in your documentation, is it actually being implemented in your plant layout or not? It will be, everything will be verified in this step. Then it is conducting verification activities. I have already discussed verification. Tracing product, material and distribution. How do we trace a product? That tracing might be your raw ingredients traceability, or might be your final product traceability. How you will trace it? You will keep all the record that where it was manufactured, at what temperature and conditions it was stored, and when it was transported. Then either safety conditions were maintained or not, and the proper temperatures, air pressures, and safety measures were taken or not. This is all the information, and the record of all that information is called the traceability. Next, please. Okay. Then is non-conforming. You people might have heard about the NCs that our auditor made NC in our production area. Na? That is, what is NC? Non-compliance. Non-compliance and non-conforming is quite similar things. Means you are not following your requirements. Means what you are supposed to do, you are not actually doing that. So non-conformances occur. When we study the HACCP, we study that first of all, we identify the hazards, and after hazard identification, then we analyze the hazards, that what kind of hazards might be present. And after analysis, we make the risk assessment, that how risky that hazards could be, and what are the likelihood and the severity of those hazards. And right after that, what we do actually, we do this formation of CCPs. That is the most crucial point. And we all know that what are the control measures? PRPs, OPRPs, and CCPs. And the most important monitoring of control measure is CCPs. Okay. Now we have make the CCPs. Okay. And to maintain and to establish and monitor those CCPs, we make the critical limits. Okay, our CCPs are formed, our critical limits are established. Now what happens that our product is showing non-conformist, means we are in our final product, hazard is being shown. What does mean by the presence of hazard in our final product? That our CCP has failed. What does mean by CCP failing? Means our critical limits that we established for CCP is not being established properly. Means there is something wrong in your operations, in your critical limits establishment, means in your process. So you review all the process, especially your HACCP plan. You review all your HACCP plan, that where could be that HACCP, that hazard could be incorporated in the HACCP plan. So through the whole evaluation, we evaluate that maybe our supplier is not managing that specific hazard that was incorporated into our chain. That's why whenever we change our raw ingredient supplier, then also we review our HACCP plan. In case we don't do that, during our transportation, any unknown or unexpected hazard is being incorporated, then we finally sort out the reasons that why hazard is being present in our final product. Then we make the corrective actions. And actually the presence of those anomalies or abnormalities in your production line or in your operations is actually the non-conformance. To correct those non-conformance, what we do the corrective actions. Means we evaluate that where the problem in the chain was happening, in our line was happening, and then we try to mend it by taking the corrective actions. After those corrective actions, we document them. Means we make the record of all those improvements, all those corrections, so that in case the same problem happens in our future, we can consult the same documentation or the same record again, so we can sort out our future problem more quickly. Okay, identify the correction and the corrective actions to be. Okay, next. The requirements is here, necessary is the validation actually. Establish and document a process to validate. What do you mean by validation? Validation is basically the assessment of efficiency of the system. What do you mean by efficiency? Means either that that system is technically effective or not. Means it is performing its required roles properly or not, right? Validation is performed right after your HACCP plan is completed. Then then a technical expert comes at your place. He might be an auditor. Normally, he's not. He will be a technical expert, and he will evaluate that what kind of control measures you are implementing at your place. Are they actually efficient or not, working or not? What kind of hazard you are mean to prevent through those control measures? Are they actually efficient enough to prevent those hazards or not, right? He will evaluate your CCPs, OPRPs, and PRPs. Specifically, your CCPs, he will evaluate that either your CCPs are correctly placed or not. Means he will check their efficiency. This is called validation. Means he is actually validating your HACCP plan that if it is effective or not. Okay, next please. Next slide, please. Then it comes, no, I think ये एक रहती थी इसके पीछे वाली स्लाइड जो थी, इसके बाद yes, ये verification. Right after validation, it's the verification. Validation was actually the gauging the capacity and capability of your system and plan, right? Your HACCP plan. But what is verification is? Verification is that you are simply trying to figure out that whatever is written or documented in your HACCP plan, is it actually being implemented or not? Are they lying that we are having all those systems and we are having those CCPs, maintained CCPs, PRPs, and OPRPs? Are they actually doing that? Are their claims are right or wrong? We do not check the efficiency of the system in verification. We just perform our tasks that we are given the documentations, and we try to tally with those documentation that actually both of them are aligning with each other. Means there is no non-conformance and there is no non-compliance in the system. This is called verification. Next, please. Then is improvement requirements. First of all, you have planned, then you have taken the actions, then you have incorporated proper control measures. You you have gathered all the managerial team of yours, right? Everything is being verified. Now you have saw all the results of your system, and now you have enough data that you can find out that where the gap is. Means where there is requirement of improvement, means where there is room for improvement. That might be at management places, means your managers are not effective, or maybe in your production, your supervisor is not performing his actions properly, or maybe there is communication gap at the managerial at the management level. All those gaps will try to bridge. Then it comes the internal audits, means whether internal audits are being properly held or not, are they effective or not, or whatever that is being monitored and assessed in those audits, is it effective for improvement of that system or not. Then is corrective actions, means all the record that how frequently the same problem is happened and what was its resources and how it could be prevented in the future, means the solid corrective actions to halt that problem to be happen in the future. Then is the verification of results. I have already told you what is verifications, means you are going to tally with your expected layout of your data and what is actually being implemented on ground in your industry. And then finally is validation of results. What do mean by validation of result is your system efficient enough or not, means you are checking the efficiency, auditing, and to check properly and to monitor your operations properly. Normally an auditor have checklists. Those checklists will be different for different premises of your industry. For example, your manufacturing site, your supplier site, and your retailers and your logistic operation site, all the checklist will be different. And what actually checklist contain? It contains close-ended questions, means it will not give you any kind of explanation or comments. It will just you will have to answer in yes or no. You will find out that if the team was trained or not, right? You will tick mark that yes it was, or if it was not, means there is no uh, this is time effective, but yes its efficiency is a little bit limited, because things might be present between yes and no also, right? Might be possible that they are not implementing that system properly, but yes, to some extent they might be implementing, but you have to just decide that whether it is implemented or not, right? This is how we develop our checklist. For example, your SOPs, your workplace SOPs are being implemented or not. Then you will tick that if they are being implemented or not, if your workers are trained or not, if your equipments and are properly maintained or not, if your plant layout was as per the requirements or not. Each and everything will be asked in your checklists, and you will tick mark as per your observations as an auditor. Then it comes right after checklist, there might be some other sources too. Checklist is not the only way, but then it comes to our mind that why we do actually use the checklists. It is actually checklists are being used to avoid biasness, means auditor biasness. Because if we are not using any template or checklist, we might use our own preferences, right? Of our own perceptions and liking and disliking, and our results and our final judgment might be biased. So to reduce that biasness, we use the checklist. And then it's another application is also that it's very time effective, and you don't have you don't forget anything to check out, means as we human beings sometimes though we normally do, and it's our in conscious, but sometimes we forget to check out some points. So it help us to cover all the points during your inspection or your auditing. Next, please. Then is the documentation. Documentation is we have already discussed multiple times that you maintain all the records of your all kind of operations. That might be your managerial operations, your functional operations, maybe your auditing operations, or maybe your logistical or retailer operations. Means you will maintain the documentation or the record, whether what was your management team, and what was and who was assigned what role, and what was your plans, your system management plans, what was your monitoring records, what were your ccps, what were your oprps, prps, and what was your corrective actions, and what was your sources of hazard that lead to corrective actions, whenever when at how many times or whenever the critical limits was be reached, and what was the factor that lead it to, and all your monitoring records. Means that not ongoing basis you monitor, like if your critical limit is temperature or pH or time period, then you keep on monitoring them, and all those data are being recorded, and that record is also the part of documentation. For example, your refrigerators uh, data logs, and your refrigerators temperature sheets, your boilers temperature sheets, and your frying boilers temperatures, maintenance, and all those sheets, data sheets and quality data sheets are being managed, and all that is included in your documentation. Next, please. Next, please. That's up to you that what kind of computer application you are being using to maintain those data. They nowadays there are different kind of computer softwares are available to maintain those data, to those documentation. uh, uh, Word and Excel is very traditional and more frequently being used, but there are different um, softwares are also available, like SAP and some other. Next, please. Implementing workbook. What is workbook actually? All the data, all the documents that you have maintained, if they are filed in the form of a book now, means they are being compiled at one place, this will be your workbook. But at some to some extent it might be vary. For example, the production areas workbook might be different from the managerial's workbook, because they will not containing your the hierarchical uh, documentations. Means the organizational hierarchy normally they contain otherwise, and what are the aims and objectives of the entire organization, but they will only contain that what are the aims and objectives, and what are the SOPs, working SOPs of that production area. I am just giving you an example of production area. That work would be of any department or maybe of the organization too. It's up to the organization that how extended that organization is, either it is established at small scale or larger scale. And that book contain all the documents, like your plans, your project plans, your aims and objectives, your auditing plans, your HACCP plans, your prerequisite programs charts, and your suppliers requirements, your suppliers data, your training record of your employees, and all kind of non-compliance that have been occurred in the past. Everything will be recorded in that workbook. Next, please. Or is it concluded? Okay, computer-based training. To whom you have to train? Of course, to your, employers, to your team. Different kind of training uh, approaches are being used by the industries to train their employees. One of them is the computer-based training. Means you are provided different modules and lectures to your employees, and they attend those workshops, lectures, and modules, and then they finally take the assessment to evaluate that whether they have learned something out of those sessions or not. If they are able to clear that assessment, they are given these certificates. And this is all about employment training. Next, please. Okay. What are the checkpoints of your internal auditor? What your internal auditor actually do, and how he is being trained? That he will be given the computerized training programs, like the same thing that we have discussed earlier. Prepare to internal auditor. What is the actually task or the job of your internal auditor? To monitor the system and to find out that where there are chances of non-compliance might be occur. He normally sees monitoring process, critical limits, CCPs, efficiency, not just efficiency. He do the verification process actually, to avoid the failure of external audit. Internal auditor try to maintain all the preliminary steps that are required to maintain in a proper audit, external audit, I mean to say. Okay. How you will train your internal auditor? By providing all the requirements and training about the ISO 22000, FSS 22000, and the principles of HACCP. Principle of HACCP is the base of everything, so he must know them. Prerequisite programs. What are the prerequisite programs? I have told you earlier, like GMPs, GHPs, GLPs, good manufacturing practices, good lab practices, good agriculture practices, good hygiene practices. In those prerequisites, there are multiple further small steps like sanitation maintenance, plant layout, proper maintenance, uh, employees training, and maintenance of equipments, and so integrated pest management programs, and clean water supply, its proper monitoring, water monitoring, and so many other things. Okay, then they are mentioning that what kind of skills he must have and the techniques he must have. Means he must have the knowledge about the hazards, about the system, about the system implementations, about the causes of failure of the system, and then to improve that system, and then to re-establish to that system in case any kind of non-compliance happens. I think our slides are concluded. Is there any other slide, please? Tell me if there is any other slide. Okay. Our slides are concluded. Our session, our lecture session is almost concluded. You people now ask any question if you have, any query if you have. Kindly ask your quiz. अगर किसी का कोई सवाल है तो वो पूछ ले.